Okay, I'm back. Dog is no longer barking. All right, so we advanced the turn counter. We're moved to turn 2. So fast pilots attack. I don't have any fast pilots. I explained the situational awareness situation. I don't have that either. So that means that all the Scythes and bandits get to attack first, which is very unfortunate. But so what's going to happen is we're just going to resolve these 3 dogfights. Nobody else gets to attack. This guy does not get to attack because remember, he's low altitude. Everybody else is high. So I'm just going to shove him to the side here. The only 3 things we're concerned about are here, and we'll just start from the top and go down. When you're doing these attacks, the one thing you need to look for is right here, that +1. That +1 matters. And then right here it says he's a green pilot. That's what the G stands for. So right now they're in what's called a neutral position. So when you look at the dogfighting chart, when it's the enemy's turn, they use these columns over here, and this A means advantage, N means neutral. So let's actually go through them all. So this is neutral, this is advantage, and everything's in relative to me, right? That's advantage, that's tailing. Okay. This is disadvantage. And then, of course, that's tailing for him. All right. So when we look at this chart, this is saying for advantage and neutral, he's going to use this column right here. So we roll a die for him. And so there's 3 things we're going to do. We're going to choose his maneuver, see if his maneuver succeeds, and then he's going to attack. And this is for every dogfight. So first, let's choose his maneuver. So I'm going to roll, and I got a 6, okay? So it says you roll, and you add his air-to-air value. His air-to-air value is that 1 we saw there. Now, there could be a -1. -1 means you subtract. So he got a 7. So we look here, and you see for a 5 to a 7, he's going to do a yo-yo. Or he's going to try to. So he's going to try to do a yo-yo. So now we got to roll for the success. So I rolled a 6. I add his air-to-air, which is a 1. So he has a 7. But I get to subtract my air-to-air. So we're doing case here. And his air-to-air is +1. So we subtracted 1. So he got a 6. With a 6, he gets a +2 position. Or I'm sorry, yo-yo. He gets +1 position, +1 attack. So +1 position means he has an advantage on us, or we're at a disadvantage, and now he gets to attack. So he's at an advantage. So with an advantage, he gets a +1 on his attack roll. He's going to get another +1 because of his yo-yo succeeding. So he's going to get +2. So we're going to roll. I rolled an 8. This is just an awful... Oh, sorry. I needed to do some things first. First thing is I can choose to evade, which I'm going to do. To evade, you take one of these stress markers and you put the stress on your pilot. And in doing so, you force him to roll 2 dice. So that's what we're going to do. One of them was an 8, I think. I picked it up and I apologize. So I prematurely rolled an 8, but the other one we get to roll 2. And so that one's a 5. So when you do evasive, we get to cancel this one and use that one instead. So that helped. That was worth it. And then it's 5. Remember, it's +1 is 6. +1 here is 7. And then he gets another +1 for his air-to-air. That's 8. And you can see all that here. So his 5, so he's up to 8. And then we get to subtract ours, which makes it a 7. So he got a 7. So now you look at this, and you can see that we got to a 7, which is awful. So what happened is he's damaged. All right. So with him being damaged, he's no longer allowed to attack anymore. And when you're damaged, you take 2 more stress. So he's now up to 3 stress, and he's damaged, and basically he's out of the mission because he can't attack or do anything for the rest of the mission. He can only move. So one of our escorts is already down. He's not destroyed or anything crazy like that, but he's already useless for us. So not good. Now we move to the next one. So he's going to roll a 10. Awful. So he gets +0. So he gets a 10, and remember, we're at neutral position. So he's going to do out of the sun. So now we're going to roll for that. He rolled a 2. He adds +0, and then he subtracts. Sakamoto has a +3 air-to-air. So it's a -3. So he's actually at a 0, or -1 actually. This says 2 or less. So for a 2 or less, he actually loses 2 position. So in his effort to hit us, he actually screwed up, and we are now trailing him. So that's what that means. And the good news here is he can't attack us. He can only attack us if he's neutral, advantaged, or trailing. His gun, of course, is facing forward, and with us being behind him, his attack was canceled. So good news for us. There. Sorry, I'm going to get a drink. Now this one is a bad situation, but we're going to go ahead and see what he gets. So I rolled a 4. He has a -1. Here you can see an example of a -1. So that 4 actually becomes a 3 here. And it's still, remember, they're neutral, right? So the 3 means he's going to try to do a tight turn. See that 4 lower there? So now we're going to try to do a tight turn. And he rolled an 8. Okay, he gets a -1 because of this, so that becomes a 7. And Lewis, we have to find him here, has an air-to-air value of -1. So that means he goes back up to an 8. So with an 8, he gets a +1 position. So he gets an advantage on us, like that. And now he gets to attack. Well, I was supposed to select whether I want to evade or not, and I would have for sure done that. So I apologize, even though I rolled fantastic. I would have taken an evasion for him. And so let's roll the other one. Yeah. So the first number was the better one. Okay, so he rolled a 2. He subtracts 1, becomes a 1. And then he adds 1 because of our thing. It's back to a 2 again. He needed at least a 6 to hit. So nothing happens for him. And our bomber's fine. One thing I want to point out, I didn't select these Mitchells. See how it says large here? That means, of course, that he's a bomber. But when you're a large, you have a large keyword, the very first hit you take, you get to ignore, which is pretty cool. And this is for every mission. So, you know, I kept saying he wasn't worth the 12 SO. He might have been worth 12 SO. So that's something to bear in mind, is the large lets you ignore the first hit. This level keyword means you can drop low altitude bombs from high altitude. So I can drop those 1,000-pounders from up high. And you notice this guy has no dive ability. So I can still come in high and drop the 1,000-pounders. The difference is I get a -2 to my air-to-ground roll when I do that. So you get a little bit of a penalty. But I just wanted to point that out. I don't have any of these in this campaign. I probably should have picked one just so we could have one. Okay, so that's it. The bandits have finished. Now it's our turn. Case can't do anything. We're not allowed to attack. He's done. So very unfortunate there. And so he's basically going to just stay there. We don't move yet. Moving is later. Aircraft move at step 16. We're at step 15. Slow pilots attack. So now we're going to do Sakamoto's turn. He is already trailing. And so we're going to do, I think we're going to try to do out of the sun. Because I want to add attack to my die roll. Actually, I may want to do these. Let me look those up real quick. My apologies. This is all brand new here. So if the target is tailed or disadvantaged, change its position to neutral. Oh. If the aircraft is disadvantaged, change its position to neutral. Oh, if the aircraft is tailed. So if you are tailed or disadvantaged, you can flip to neutral. So these barrel rolls and scissors are a good way to escape somebody pursuing you. Okay, that makes sense. So we don't want to do that. We want to do, we want to do, these are good for getting more position. We want more attack. So I'm going to actually pick in my sights because this one has really high negative values, although you have really high positive values as well. But I'm going to do in my sights, and because I want to be conservative, I want to get a hit in. It just takes one hit to destroy this thing. So, we're going to try that maneuver, and I'm going to roll a 9. Perfect. Friendly maneuver success. I got a 9. I add my air-to-air, which remember is a 3. Okay, so I'm up to 12, and I subtract his air-to-air, which is a 0. So I have a 12, which is more than enough to get +2 to my attack roll. I would have gotten +4 had I done Out of the Sun. So that's what I get for not being bold, So now I do my friendly attack resolution. And I roll again. Oh, I got a 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. Subtract 0 for 13. And all I needed was an 8. See the guns value here of 8? I just needed an 8 to hit. So this bandit is destroyed. And one of the things you need to do is Sakamoto. See this little star? He shot down a plane. If he gets 5 stars, he becomes an ace pilot. And of course, he can become an ace a second time. So he already shot down a bandit, and that's what that represents. All right, so he was very successful, and yeah, we're done there. So now we get to this bomber. The bomber can attack because, so this is Lewis. So see these little brackets? They're not allowed to do air-to-air attack, but there's a rule in the rule book that's called gunner. Every one of these bombers have a gunner on them. So the gunner is like a rear-facing gunner. Just imagine somebody with a machine gun facing the rear. So they get to attack any fighters that are upon them. So this one has a gunner, but it's a -1. And see, the gun value is 9. He needs a 9 to hit. This is near impossible. I have to roll a perfect 10 to be able to hit with this thing. Now, the one thing that I do have my advantage is he gets a -1, so I can roll a 9 or a 10 to hit. So there's a 1. That was a failure and a half. So the bomber failed to hit the fighter that was engaged with me. Okay, so these guys can't do anything. These are all bombers. They all have the brackets, like I was telling you. I cannot attack or support any of these bandits. I have to ignore them because they're just bombers flying into their target, okay? At the end of the turn, which is what we're approaching here, we're at the aircraft move step. Okay, so the, actually, let's verify exactly when this happens. I know the rule, I just want to make sure I get exactly when it's supposed to happen. Oh, you may have noticed when I did the gunnery thing, I didn't actually do a maneuver step. Bombers do not maneuver, whether it's our bombers or their bombers. You never do a dogfight maneuver. I know there's a spot in the rulebook that says bombers have air-to-air maneuvering modifiers. Yes, that's true, but that's for when the enemy fighters are maneuvering against you or you're maneuvering against them. You, as a bomber, do not do maneuvers. So in a dogfight, you're very disadvantaged. So so here for bomber rules, return any aircraft or bandits to unengaged following their attack on a bomber or a large aircraft. Oh, so technically speaking, my bomber didn't get to attack at all because he became unengaged. So he's like free floating over here, like you see there. So he didn't even get to attack at all. All right, so now we're at the step of aircraft move. So for sure, we're going to move in because we need to get to our target. And this, by the way, is over target right now. These guys are all over the target. This guy is exiting the mission because he's no good to us. And you get to do that during your move step. So that's what he's going to do. He's going to exit the mission. If he would have taken one more damage, he would have been destroyed. We don't want that. I'm pretty darn sure they heal. So the damage goes away. The stress does not, but the damage goes away. So he's good there. Actually, no. Apologies. He could get damaged on a return home. So we got to keep that there until he actually gets all the way home. So Case is out. Sakamoto has a choice. He can engage one of these, because this is his move step. The move step, you get to do an engage. Or he can fly into here and engage this one. There's several reasons why I'm going to engage this one. And I'm looking at their values here. See, he gets a -2 to his die roll. This one gets a -1. And this one gets a +1. So this is the best fighter they have. And so Sakamoto is going to go after their best fighter. And I'm going to hope that these two don't damage our bombers. All right. So now the bandits get to move. And so we have one bandit here, and he's going to engage a bomber. So he got a 3. So I didn't say anything, but my rule of thumb is always 2, 4, 6, 8. So 3 would be this guy. He's engaging Benson. This one would move towards the bombers. The bombers are their priority. Would he stay? That's an interesting question. What happens when he has a choice to go after a bomber but stays? That is an interesting question. Each bandit may move one area but is not required to. Bandits do not use altitude. If there is one or more aircraft within the bandit's range, the bandit does not move. If no aircraft are within, if there are 2 or more aircraft at the same distance, randomly determine. So he's going to stay. Okay, so he stays. He does not go after the bombers. Now the rules do say somewhere that if, let's say, this bomber was here, and there was only one bandit, that bandit would choose the bomber over you. You're a fighter every day and twice on Sundays. But in this situation, what's going to happen is these two are dogfighting, and then he's going to get an extra attack on him without a dogfight. There's going to be no dogfight between this guy and him, because there's only allowed to be one on each side in a dogfight. You can't ever have this situation where 2 of them are dogfighting him. But what's going to happen is these two are going to dogfight, and then this one will get to have a free attack on him without doing any maneuvering or anything, and he'll do it at a neutral. So it'll be as if they were like this. Okay? So, so this one's staying to attack our escort. And of course, this one plucked a guy. All right, so now we move to turn 3. Now in turn 3, dive bombers dive to low, which is exactly what we're going to do. So we're going to dive to low with all of our bombers. We're attacking, and we're diving to low this turn. Now, it's important to note which turn you're diving, because see here, they all have the +3 dive, +1 dive. That makes a difference, and I'll get to it when we get there. So fast pilots attack. Remember, we have no fast pilots. That's the one thing that's crappy about this particular mission. So that means they get to carnage us. So let's resolve this first. We're going to do the dogfight first. He's going to pick his maneuver choice. He rolled a 5. He gets a +1. So that would be a 6. So he's going to try to do a yo-yo. Okay, so then we roll again. He rolled a 3. He gets to add +1, becomes a 4, but we subtract 3, which becomes a 1. And so he failed miserably at his yo-yo, and he got a -1 position. So he is not able to attack us because he's disadvantaged. So we got very lucky there. But now we move to this guy, and remember, he just gets to attack. So we roll a 1 for his attack, which was perfect. And remember, I always evade. Even if I forget, I always want to evade. Now, this particular pilot has that agile keyword. And so the agile keyword is, you may go evasive without suffering stress. So we did that on purpose. We want this thing to go evasive. So there was no reason why I would not choose this. I don't even have to take stress. But I rolled a perfect 1. It doesn't even matter what I roll. So I got a 1, and he's not going to do well. He gets a -1 to his roll. He gets a +0 here, and then we subtract 3 there. He did not hit. So our escort survived. Now we got the one we're really worried about. So let's roll for him. He rolled a 9 for his maneuver. So he's going to do in my sights. Oh, actually, he gets a -2. So he gets a -2. So he's going to go to a 7. He gets yo-yo. All right, so he's going to do yo-yo. So he rolled a 5 for a yo-yo. He subtracts 2. So it becomes a 3. And then this is Benson. So we got to look up Benson's stats here. See, Benson has a -2 air to air. So this -2 gets canceled by our -2. So he gets a 5 for his yo-yo attempt. His yo-yo attempt is a -1 to his attack roll. So now we do his attack roll. Oh, remember, we're doing evasive because I always forget. Sorry about that. We're doing evasive. Good thing. A 10 would be awful. Okay, that's better. So he gets a -2 because he's a crappy KI 61. But since we're a bomber, we get a +2 for him because we have a -2. And so his overall result is 4. And if you look at his token, he needed a 5 to hit. So Benson survived. And remember, per the rule we just looked up, they disengage after they attack. So he is now free-floating, and we're all, we have nobody engaged with us. So now we move to, oh, one more thing. The sight gets to attack. We're now low altitude, so this sight gets to attack. So we're going to do 2, 4, 6, 8. I rolled a 10. I'm going to re-roll. 6. 2, 4, 6 means Walker's being attacked. And this is a straight up, just we get to roll. But Walker is going to take a stress because we can still do evasive, even in this situation. Well, he has the alert keyword. What does alert do? Once per mission, after rolling for a bandit attack, subtract 2. He didn't get a bandit attack. So we're going to roll 2 dice, and we got a 1. So we're going to take the 1. And he needed a 5 to hit, so even the 4 would not have hit. Okay? So this LMG was unable to damage us. And so now it is our turn. Okay? We have an advantage, so we have to pick what we're going to do. Again, I'm going to do in my sights. And I rolled a 7. I get 3 more because I'm Sakamoto. And I have to subtract 1 for him, so that's a 9. I get +2 to my attack. So I'm going to roll for my attack. I have a 9. I get 3 more, And just so you're aware, I also have this, which adds +1 more. So I obliterated this thing. He is destroyed. And we get another point towards our ace. Now you might be wondering, what does an ace pilot do? And I'm putting these in the wrong spot. My apologies. I'm going to just circle them. It's Sakamoto who's getting the 2 kills. For every point of ace, so I don't know if this is unlimited or if I'm limited to just 2 points of ace. If I survive until the end of the mission, or end of the campaign, I get a victory point for every ace level I have. So if I have 5 stars here filled out, I would get 1 victory point. If I have 10 stars filled out, I would get 2. I don't know if I can do a third. I'll have to ask, or look in the rules. That's a long time away. Let's keep playing. Okay, so we're done. We killed our guy. Now these guys get to attack, and this is when the magic happens. So we're going to drop our bombs, and I have to pick. I'm going to choose an order here. I'm going to choose Walker first. So this is Walker. You can see he has a +1 air to ground and a +1 dive. So what the +1 dive means is he gets to add 1 to his air to ground. So we're going to get to add 2 to his die roll. That's what that means. So 1 for this and 1 for that. And this, by the way, is only for the turn you did the dive. So we're going to get to add +2 to our die roll. And he has this thing called Quick Hands. And Quick Hands lets him add +1 more against the target, which is what this is. So we're bombing the target, and he would get +3 to his die roll. We could use one of his gung-hos, and that means I get an automatic 10, so I don't even have to roll. I know I just finished explaining all that. I don't want him to go first. Let's go with the guy who has no gung-ho, because he has no choice. So we're going to roll with that one. So he gets +2 for his air to ground and +1 for his dive, so he's going to get +3 to his roll. So let's go ahead and roll. I rolled a 7. Okay, let's compare that to this. So the 7 means I do 2 hits to the target. So we're going to grab this for 2, and I just did 2 damage to the target. I need 6 to destroy the target. And then you discard the bomb after it's done. It does not stay. Okay, next. Who to pick? Who to pick? I'm going to do Bearcat. Bearcat gets +1 to his air to ground, and then +3 because of his dive. So he has +4 to his die roll. I rolled 6 + 4 is 10, so I just did 3 damage to the target. So I'm going to grab 3. So now I'm at 5 damage. I only need 1 more damage. So we're going to move over to Lewis here. He gets +1 air to ground, +2 dive. He also has a 1,000-pounder. So 5 + 3 is 8. That's 2 more hits. And guess what? We destroyed the target. Walker does not need to drop his bomb, and he won't. So we finished our attack, and that was the slow pilot's attack phase. So now we do aircraft move. At this point, you're allowed to exit the mission, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're done. So everybody's peeling away, and it's automatic. You don't have to step out or anything like that. So it's automatic. We peel away. No more damage from anybody. So one thing to point out, see how Lewis is spelled here? And then look at how Lewis is spelled there. So a little bit of an issue there. And then Benson here. Okay, so we destroyed the target. Everything else goes away. We can make sure these go in those go in a different bucket. And then these all go back into the bandit bucket. And your damage tokens go away. We destroyed our target. So after we destroy our target, we then have to fly home. We're going to draw an event card. And it says save this card for the duration of one mission, increase all air-to-ground stats by 2. So I get to add +2. That's pretty cool. So we're definitely going to save that. That was nice. They're not always that nice. This step 20 is if one of your pilots get destroyed. There is a chance to save your pilot. One of the reasons I saved this bomb and didn't drop it is you can discard munitions to improve your chances of rescuing a pilot. So that was one of the reasons. So I didn't do that. Another thing important to point out is it doesn't matter who kills what in this game, except for the ace situation. So this matters, getting these stars, but when you're dropping bombs, it doesn't matter who actually does the hits. So then we get to the debriefing section. So here we record our outcome. And it's pretty simple. We spent 2 SO, so we're down to 15. The X means we destroyed the target. If we did not destroy the target card would actually go into a discard pile. It is either destroyed or it's not destroyed. You do see that there's a third value here, but that's an optional rule in the back of the rule book. We are not playing with that rule. It's a neat rule. I don't want to tell you not to try it, but we're just not doing that for this. How many victory points did we earn? And we look here and you can see we earned 5. 5 victory points. Okay, the other thing we did is the recon and intel, nothing happened. And I forgot to pay attention. This was a gung-ho target, so I should have been using my gung-ho like crazy. Silly me. Anyways, that's a lesson learned. This was a gung-ho target. Dang it. So all of our gung-ho refreshes. I didn't spend a single gung-ho, so that wasn't good. All right, so now everybody gets experience. You get 1 experience for just doing the mission. You get a second experience if you destroyed the target and none of your planes were destroyed. Now, we got damaged, but we did not get destroyed. So we do get 2 experience points. So let's start with Sakamoto. He gets 2 experience. And then what we do is we compare it to here, and you can see he needs 12 experience to level up. 2 is not going to cut it, okay? Let's skip him for a second. Let's do Bearcat. He gets 2. Bearcat, where are you? Up here. Bearcat gets 2. And then Walker gets 2. By the way, Bearcat needs 5. Walker needs 7. Benson gets 2. Benson needs 4. And then Lewis gets 2. And Lewis needs 5. Okay, now back to this guy. This guy, remember this is the special expansion pack leader. When he gets experience points, he gets to give them to somebody else. So he's going to give both of his experience points to Benson. So Benson's going to already have 4 experience. And so on day number 1, Benson gets promoted from green to average. And then what I do is I put a -4 because, see, he has 4 experience points. I don't want to cross him out. So I just put a -4 here, and then I just do some quick math. Okay, so what happens when you level up? You just take your pilot card, and we're going to move this to the bottom, in fact. And then move him to the average side. So you find the average side card. And you can see his air to ground just moved up to +3. So very good, Benson. All right, next thing we do is, well, the card itself, you could just set to the side. We did destroy it, so I'm going to just keep it so I can keep track of my kills. And I always like to write a 5 down here. That's a cumulative total going across. And then this is my individual totals. Okay, so we did our mission outcome, we did our victory points, we adjusted the counters, special option points. Here we could do a special, what's called a rest and recovery, but we have to add stress. And actually, here's the rest and recovery. So our stress is based on here. Remember, The target was 3, so our stress is 2. So we're just going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these and put 2 stress. So now 2 stress goes on each guy, but his cool value is 1, so he just gets 1 stress, okay? And then we put 2 here. He has a cool value of 2, so he takes no stress at all. That's what's awesome about him. This one, however, takes 2. He has a cool value of 1, so he goes up 1 stress. And he has a cool value of 1, so he gains 1 stress. Now, if I had certain skills help other pilots, like Amicable here, had he come with us on the mission, he could have picked one other pilot to get 1 less stress for the mission. But he didn't come along, so that doesn't occur. And so I'm just putting those over there. And we are done. I never really use the cool buttons. I just use the card. But that's how you do a mission. We just did a whole day, and we're moving to day 2, and we just rinse and repeat until this campaign is over. The only thing you're going to experience from here on out is maybe just special conditions or rules or keywords. But at this point, you should have everything you need to start playing. You have experienced all the rules from top to bottom. From here on out, like I said, it's just keywords and specific situations. And that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and I will see you at day 2. Thank you for watching, and stay awesome.